I've got these taxes. I don't know what to do with them. Oh my gosh. I just can barely speak. I'm so over it.
This is the Creator Podcast with Jeff and Gus, and we're all here with Keiko. Right, Jeff?
That's right. That's right. I'm Jeff, and today we have Keiko. She is super talented voiceover actress and doing many things, juggling many projects at once. Keiko, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you guys for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah,
Very
well, we're
welcome.
glad to
We're
have you
excited.
on.
Thank you. I'm such a fan of your guys' show. It's been the perfect thing to watch during the stay-at-home times. I've just been binge watching it, and I just think it's a wonderful platform for creators and for people just to talk about art. I really love that you provide that for viewers.
Well,
That's awesome. Yeah.
we love hearing that because me and Jeff were about to pack up our suitcases and head south, and now we got a reason to stick around. So,
Absolutely. I think what you guys do is really needed, and there's definitely a shortage of it if you really look at it out there. So keep up the good work. I love it.
Well, thank you. Wow, what a great way to start the show with boosting our egos. So we better do a good job now. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole reason we started it was we just want to reach out and talk to people who are creating things and see what makes them tick and just discuss things like that. And I have to say off the bat, as a voiceover actress, your voice is so soothing. Like I could listen to you talk. I know exactly why you're in the business
Oh, well,
because
thank you.
your voice is amazing.
Well, thank you very much.
yeah.
It's I can do a lot of things with it as I've discovered over the years. That's one of the things that, kind of come with the job is being able to sound like anything. And so that's been fun to cultivate over the years.
Well, when was your first gig? How long ago was that? First paid gig.
Oh gosh. Well, I started voice acting, kind of seriously 5 years ago, even though I've been doing it for 10 years. And so I think it probably would have been around 5 years ago that I did my first real job.
Nice.
And so it's been a long time.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
have you? I guess you experienced all kinds of different directors, voice directors. I've dealt with a little bit of that, and I wasn't sure how many you've dealt with.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's a lot to juggle. I've had the opportunity to work with lots of people that I look up to and lots of people that I don't know so much, but everyone's doing their own thing and it's all art at the end of the day. And that's what I'm here for. I just love it so much. But yeah, I typically do quite a variety of voice work. I do a lot of animation and video games and some radio spots. And recently, I've gotten into comic dubs. I've discovered that there's this whole little fandom on the internet, and they just soak up this stuff. They just love it so much, and it's
Hmm.
really fun to be able to contribute to that.
Now, are those like with images and I guess kind of moving, or how's that all done?
It kind of depends on the individual director, but the ones I've been doing lately is they'll take like a comic page, which isn't moving, obviously, and they'll somehow do their wizardry and they'll make the words come in at the right time and they'll make little sound effects and just make certain parts of the image move and they just kind of make it come to life. It's an art in itself.
Oh, that's really neat. Yeah, I've never heard of that. Well, I guess I've never really looked into it either. But now that I know it exists, I'll have to go try and find it.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find some of the stuff I lend my voice to. I've got a playlist that you can find on my YouTube channel, and I've tried to keep it updated because for years I didn't, and then I was like, I should probably post these so my viewers can see that if they're curious, and so you can find some of those things there.
Okay, awesome. Yeah,
Mhm.
we'll definitely have all your links to all your awesome stuff.
Oh, well,
Uh,
thank you.
and I'm
What did you
wondering,
say?
as a
I'm sorry, I'm not paying attention. I'm watching her YouTube channel right now. I've just got really deep in it. What's what am I missing?
Oh, well, thank you for
Uh,
checking it out.
Yeah, just mid-interview, we'll just check things out. One question I had. So I've at my real job, the one that's not so artsy, we hire voiceover actresses and actors sometimes, and I noticed that a lot of them will have a big variety of things in like a demo reel.
Right.
So, I'm wondering if do you usually get cast because people hear maybe a voice that's on your demo reel or a voice that they
Mhm.
want that's similar, and do you sometimes get cast for voices that you don't normally do, but then have to learn how to do it? Like if somebody wanted like a French accent, or like if somebody was casting like an introverted Southern cockroach or something, like, is that something that you have to learn and get back to them and try and figure it out, or do you normally stick to kind of your repertoire of what you can do?
You definitely have to be flexible. It's just like you said, was it like a cockroach with a southern accent? Is that what you said?
Introverted cockroach with a Southern accent, yeah.
Introverted. Yes, absolutely. Well, I've played like some octopus monster before, and so you name it, I've played it. It's outrageous the things you're asked to do. It's hilarious. But
Oh, awesome.
uh, but yes, your demo is that's really one of the first things you should do if you're serious about pursuing voice work. You need a demo because it's kind of like your commercial, and it's kind of the way you promote yourself and say, hey, this is what I can do. It's your tool. And you basically try to keep it from 1 minute to 2 minutes. You don't want it longer than that. You want to be as concise as you can, and you've got that small amount of time to really pull in whoever you give it to really show what you can do. And so it's like you said, I have my typical repertoire of the kinds of voices I can do, and so even if I don't have like the introverted cockroach voice in there, they can use they can kind of tell what you is probably in between everything based on your demo. And
Right.
so like if you listen to mine, I kind of tried to show that I can play, little kids, and I can, play very serious, sophisticated people and that sort of thing. And they can kind of fill in the dots themselves, fill in the lines themselves. So
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you, Keiko. I'm an agent, and can you give us so we got this wizard show we're doing right now, and
okay.
we need there's a goblin. He's or it could be a male character, but if you want to do a female, you might be able to convince us. It's up to you really though. But you're a goblin or
A
a
goblin.
wizard, and you don't know. There's something really weird going on with me and this other wizard, Jeff, and I just want you to just go from there. We'll give you a little sample of what's happening. Oh, hey, Jeff. I didn't mean to bump into you there. When's the goblin getting here?
Well, the goblin said 6:30, I think.
Oh, there it is. Here it's 6:30 now.
Oh,
And now you guys are doomed.
oh no, the goblin's here.
Hey, don't let her leave the building. We want to hire her immediately. Shut down the whole
Hired.
studio. We will not let her leave.
We
It's
we,
decided.
we pay in corn pops and chocolate peanut butter cookies.
Hey,
Oh,
I'll
man.
take that. Mhm.
We messed up our whole negotiation tactics on that one.
Oh yeah, I'm
I
usually
want
not. That's why Gus never lets me negotiate. That's
Yeah.
it's just never make it happen.
I've got to say, a goblin is that's the first time I've done a goblin, so might need to do a little research on that one.
And the thing about the wizards that we didn't want to say was they're connected at the hip, but they're not brothers.
Wow, that's a very serious problem.
That
Yeah.
was an afterbirth connection.
Yeah, my question is, how did they end up like that?
After birth connection, it's been a serious thing. It's been happening a lot in Sweden and in America.
Yeah, people just want to be together forever. It's expensive too. It's not a lot of people want to do it.
Stop. You don't have to say that about me.
You guys are making me believe you like this is real.
Oh, no, we're not connected. No, that's not how we came up with this podcast. No, that's not what happened.
It's like it all makes sense now. Now, the big mystery I've wondered is the cartoon version of yourselves you have on some of your videos. Which one is Jeff and which one is Gus? I assume it's red left to right, but I gotta check.
Wait. What do you assume? Who's the bearded one?
Do you want me to say?
Yeah, I want to hear it.
I think the bearded one is Jeff.
You got it.
Bingo.
Bingo. I knew
Got yourself a
it.
winner.
Keiko gets the cake tonight, folks.
Yeah. Well, there, I solved the biggest mystery for everyone listening.
That's right.
Uh-oh.
I'll
That was the thing we were supposed to not reveal until the 100th episode.
just have to shave my beard, that way nobody notices,
Yeah.
recognizes me on the street.
I'm gonna grow. Yeah, that's been a problem. I know.
Yeah, that's why I see it's easier for me to rob a bank, because I could rob a bank with a beard and then shave my beard. But normal people without a beard, they can't rob a bank and then grow a beard. You know what I mean? So
So
That's-
Keiko, I have a question. If you were hired to rob, like you go in for a voice acting thing,
Mhm.
and they want you to play a bank robber, but the guy, he's a really weird director, but it's high. This is the job that you've been waiting for. This is Steven Spielberg,
Mhm.
and he's like, hey, I want you to rob a bank. I'll be the driver, and he's dead serious. How far do you take it?
Well, if it's for a voice job where I'm just acting like a
Wait,
character is doing it, I would
it's-
totally do it. But if this is
Okay.
real life, I would like run for my life.
No, it's Spielberg, and he says like this is for the job, but at the same time he's like he just needs to see that you could do it. He wants to believe. You know what I mean? He wants to really believe it. So he's going to be
commitment
the
check.
driver. So, yeah, he says come in my brand new cyberpunk Tesla, and he's going to take you. And you're just you're enjoying the whole ride, but
Mhm.
then he hands you the gun. It's Spielberg.
I would be very suspicious that this wasn't Steven Spielberg.
Right. And he
And-
knows that. He knows that, and that's why he hands you $1 million cash, and he's like, "Listen, I'm really Steven Spielberg. There's $1 million. What else do you want?"
hmm Yeah, I think I would have to say I love Jurassic Park, but I think we'll have to, I can do the performance without going there.
Good. And you know
Boom.
what? That's
You
the
passed the
answer we're
test.
looking for. You
Boom.
passed the test. Steven, she's hired.
That is one of the weirdest things I've ever been asked, I gotta say.
That's what we like to bring here. If we don't do that, then we're not doing our jobs that we don't get paid for.
Gotcha, absolutely.
Gus has a life-size cardboard stand-up of Steven Spielberg in his bedroom. He
Oh, is that right?
It watches
yeah.
over his bed.
Yeah, I pray to it every day.
It's like a motivator. The one thing I always do stupid voices all the time, and I always I know some people that have fun voices, and
Mhm.
but there's this huge difference between being a voice actor and just having a unique voice, because acting is
Absolutely.
actually skill in itself, and so just having a wacky voice isn't going to get you in the job, right? So I mean, where does your skills as an actress come in? Like, are you self-taught, or do you have some kind of training, or is it just years of kind of trying to do voices and getting a feel for it?
I am largely self-taught, I would say. I did a little theater when I was a little kid, but other than that, it's really self-taught because I just live and breathe anything to do with the arts. And so I've seen a lot of movies, and there's the actors who I admire and the voice actors I admire, and I've figured out what tends to work and what doesn't. But you're constantly working on your craft. I think with any kind of art, whether you're a voice actor or you're a full-time artist yourself, aren't you, Gus?
I am. Yep.
And right, and so you know how as good as you get, you're always improving, and that's part of the fun and just part of the job.
Yeah. Did you have any siblings growing up?
Yes, I do. I have one brother.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I was curious. I was thinking, were you playing by yourself a lot? Because maybe that would be the beginning of it, where you have to voice these different toys and different characters. I wasn't sure if that was the thing where it kind of started.
Yeah, I did silly voices my whole life, and I think that's an important part of kind of building your range, or at least having a head start, is never stopping that because most people are like, okay, I can't really do that anymore. I'm big now, but I
Yeah.
never stopped. I think that playing till you're 80 is what it's all about, and so I never stopped doing that, and I never lost the ability. But I didn't really have a passion for voice acting even really until I started my YouTube channel, MLA Entertainment, and I make a lot of web series and things like that there. And I had these characters who needed voices, and I was the one to do it, at least in the beginning. And I didn't really realize that I was voice acting. It was just for fun. But the more I did it, I realized I had a genuine love for it. And that's when I decided to pursue it more effectively and seriously.
I just want to hold pause there 1 second. One of our listeners is Clint Eastwood, and he just texted me, and he's like, "What's up with after 80? Like, what's the deal?" I just want to calm him down. Well, I just want to put this fire out. So you said 80, and then you stopped, but he wants to keep going. He's saying, "Can we at least get it to 90?"
Absolutely. I say 80 and beyond. I think anyone should do it. Sorry,
Oh yeah,
Clint.
big time. he's
Yeah.
he's not gonna do his next movie now. He's gonna be heartbroken.
He's calming down. He told me he was having low blood sugar at the moment. He took it out on me.
Yeah, that's a big thing we say on this podcast. Is basically, growing up is stupid. No, who wants to grow up? Nobody. Sometimes you got to do adult things, and that's boring and dumb. But I mean, why be a curmudgeon just because your age increases? That's
Absolutely. I'm not quite sure what that phrase is, but I agree.
Well, Jeff's was called one several times. That's
I've
why.
always been called a curmudgeon. That's
Is that I assume it's not a compliment?
it's kind of like it's like a Clint Eastwood. Bit of a
Well,
curmudgeon, but sorry, Clint. Well, yeah, I was gonna ask. I was wondering, I don't know if you grew up with things like Looney Tunes or like Tiny Toons, kind of Bugs Bunny, that kind of stuff, or if any of the older cartoons was any kind of influence, or is it mostly newer, recent stuff and kind of like anime and things?
I would say it's a blend of both. I definitely had like some DVDs and such of things like Looney Tunes. I love them. They're so entertaining. And I just had a great variety. From a young age, I saw anime, I saw, Hollywood movies, I saw cartoons like Looney Tunes and, the good old days of Cartoon Network and things like that. And especially like Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z, it was really big. It still is huge, but when it was kind of first taking over, that really inspired me. And I just kind of noticed like a lot of people who develop a love for voice work, uh, they don't realize till they're older that there's actual people behind these characters giving them voices. They just kind of thought it was what they saw on screen. It was the character
Right.
talking, but for some reason I was
Right.
yeah, for some reason I was always aware that these were real actors. It didn't affect the experience for me at all. I just also knew that these were real actors, and that always intrigued me, And I always were like, who are these people? And the internet, you can find anything. And once I was able to make those connections, and be like, so you're so and so, that just kind of inspired me even more to pursue that route.
Do you think it's possible in your past life you were on the radio, like a voice, a storyteller? You think there's any possibility of that?
You never know. I mean, storytelling is definitely my passion, so it's in my blood for sure.
Because now we could do that. We have enough years of TV and radio where this could be your second time doing voices. Like you could have been some great radio host, or who knows. Like I don't even know what was happening back then, but that was kind of the beginning of voice acting, right? It was with those radio shows, Orphan
Right.
Annie, and right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I've never thought about that. That's something to ponder sometime. But it is something to think that I must have developed through radio. I guess would have been one of the earliest versions of it. And it's a completely unique field of its own because unlike other forms of acting, it is only with your voice.
Yeah. Have you ever considered wanting to do regular acting besides that?
I have done it before, and I love all forms of acting. If it's the arts, I love it. But I must say, I've really found my happy place with
Yeah.
being behind a microphone. I'm just very comfortable there because, when it's live action and it just feels like it's all about you. And even though it's not, you're supposed to be bringing a character to life. I just kind of can't get past myself because I'm just thinking about all the different things I need to do and look like. Whereas when it's my voice, I'm just completely the character I'm playing. I just feel like I get rid of myself and it's just all about giving that character a voice. And I really prefer that.
Yes, you
And
must get rid of the ego. Go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
I was gonna ask you, so with everything going on in the world right now, a lot of people are working from home, but do you have like a home recording studio that you can do all of your work from?
Yes, that is actually where I do most of my work. The days of having to go into a studio for most of your jobs, even though that's still obviously done, there's just so many more resources and so many ways to do it. And just like we're doing right now, I'm talking to you guys, you can connect with the director and they can direct you live. And that's just really neat. And so I do use my home studio for most of my jobs.
Okay. Well, yeah, that makes it definitely uh, beneficial to any voice actor that's thinking about getting into it. That if they can set up a decent home studio, they should be able to do work from home. I know a lot of the voice actors that we work with, they live in the middle of nowhere in Montana and do whatever their work, and they don't even live next to any other people, and they're just all recluses. But that's a possibility, I guess.
Absolutely, and it's even more entertaining if you have neighbors and you're having to scream battle cries or something late at night. And so you got to be careful of that, but it's funny.
We're
And
I'm sorry, we're getting a live feed from some of our listeners. Elon Musk was asking, have you ever worked with an AI voiceover artist, and are you afraid that they will take over your job?
Well, I haven't really thought about that, but I do know like there are visual novels. That's a sort of game. I don't know if you've heard of those.
I haven't, no.
Yeah, well,
Visual
it's
novels.
yeah, well, it's like pictures, but there's voices along with it, and there's text at the bottom of the screen. But I remember years ago, I discovered that apparently you can get AI voices to like speak for you in
Hmm.
those. So if you couldn't get voice actors, you could get a computer to recite the lines for you. But whenever I've seen it, it's very stiff and awkward. And, it's just, there's nothing like a real human. But hey, you never know. I mean, they're coming a long way. I mean, just like subtitles on YouTube. I remember uh, the automatic subtitles would just butcher my script, but now it's like a perfect translation. It's crazy what they can do.
Yeah, he's just said he typed that some weird line, and he asked, "Can you say the chicken has refrigerated emptiness is the zebra when I
whoa, come
go
on now. We don't
to?"
need no sleeper cells awake in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
Hey,
want
I
old
oh,
muskie
you know what
us
he
old
was
muskies
doing?
trying to start some stuff.
You
We
know what
don't
he
want.
was doing? You say that, and then he has your voice, and he could say anything he wants. I can't believe that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that even came up.
It happens.
That's actually that's a real thing because I've actually we've been dealt with AI voices and stuff, and if you get enough, I guess like phonemes from speech, like the different phonics of different ways to say everything, then you can take it and you can mix it around and make anybody say anything in their own voice. It's
Yeah, and that's what Vocaloids are basically. I don't know
Vocaloid.
if you're familiar with those, but it's very popular with especially the anime community. They'll like take a real singer's voice, and it's like you
Mm.
said, they get enough sound bites of them that they're able to somehow make it sing anything.
See, and that's why your creativity, where you could go and do all kinds of voices, they can't do that necessarily, or adapt to the character personality. So I think we still got an advantage over those Elon Musk AI creations. I think we're gonna win.
Yeah, it's still a human job at this point. Yeah.
But
I
it's starting.
agree.
It's starting to. They're getting their way though. They're inching up. And hey, robots, we have no offense against you. We want a one peaceful planet. I think, right? Is that,
Absolutely. Everyone welcome.
yeah.
With the robots. Yeah, we
Mhm.
definitely don't want a Matrix situation.
Hey,
Don't want
you
to
don't
be a
want to. Yeah,
battery.
you don't want to piss off robots. Like they're gonna hear this in one split second. They've already heard this, and they're like, are they cool or you know?
They're listening and learning all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're using them right now just to get our little. Oh, we gotta get this done. Oh, we're so important. Robots. Oh, thank you.
That's right. Mhm.
I don't have a segue, but Keiko, when you wake up early in the morning, do you feel like your voice is a lot different than in the middle of the day? Because I feel like when I wake up, my voice is a little deeper, and I could sing better, and I could like do announcements better. Like your voice is different in the morning. You know, it's just very very different. Is that something that you've noticed?
I know exactly what you're talking about, oddly enough. That is hilarious. Yeah, I sometimes plan certain sessions throughout my day based on things like that. And so I kind of have the opposite deal. And so sometimes when I wake up, I can do a lot of squeaky things that I usually can't do. And so, like, if I've got to play a chipmunk or something, or if I just want to play a really soft, adorable character, then I do it in the morning. And if I want to do something with a little more body, then I can do it later in the day.
Hmm.
And I think
So you
taking
guys are
care.
you guys are fresh in the morning.
Yeah, it is weird how I don't know what that is about just when you wake up, something changes in there. Uh, but it does have its benefits for sure.
And what are the foods that you're gonna want to avoid if you're doing voice acting? I'm thinking like maybe like a mac and cheese right before a session. You
No
want to avoid
spicy.
that. Tomato
Yeah,
soup.
yeah, things that are really greasy, and you want to avoid that because it makes you need to clear your throat constantly,
Hmm.
and that can be irritating if you're in a session. You're like, wait a second, I got it. It's just annoying to have to clear it, and you just want to have your throat really hydrated, and just a healthy diet is good. Of course, on occasion, it's fun to have, that kind of food. I even heard, like Kelly Clarkson said, she eats 2 hash browns before she sings, and
What?
it's to keep her throat lubricated. And so, what works for someone else may not work for you. You just kind of got to learn your own voice and what works.
Yeah, because that goes
Me,
against the greasy foods rule already.
well,
That's
me and
Absolutely.
Jeff, me and Jeff have a code for our podcast. We each scoop a good handful of lard in our palm, and we'll just it down, and it's just our real
just
voices sound nothing like this.
really smooths the pipes.
Is that right? Well, I'll have to keep that in mind.
Yeah. We'll
I
get.
think, yeah.
Oh no, go ahead. Let's hear it.
But yeah, taking care of your voice and learning your voice is very important, especially in voiceover work. That's something I would recommend people who are getting started in it is to be mindful of that and be careful not to overextend yourself and wear out your voice. Make sure when you need to take a break, you do. I think that's a common mistake a lot of beginners make is because when you're first starting out, you just want to audition, and work, 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 even if you're hoarse and you need to go to sleep.
Right.
And so,
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, absolutely. And so I would recommend it's good to go for it and, audition for a lot of things, but also remember to take care of yourself and you just got to value yourself and do what you have to do because at the end of the day, if you can't say the lines, if you're a horse, then that defeats the purpose of everything. And so, like anything, you've got to take care of yourself to perform at your optimum.
Ed's a
can you think
horse.
if you, can you think of any voices you've done that where you remember how bad it hurt your voice and you'd never want to do it again? Do you think maybe you can give us a sample of something like that? Like a real, I'd imagine like a gravelly voice or something is gonna really really tear you up. And I don't want to put you on the spot. I don't want to hurt your voice, but I'm curious what kind of what hurts a voice actor's voice.
Yeah, well, some people can do all kinds of things and it doesn't hurt their voice.
Mm.
Like they can yell all day and for some reason it doesn't bother them. But for some people it's different. And I actually I like to save lines where I'm screaming and yelling for the end of a session, if at all possible.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I'll just straight up ask the director, "Hey, is it okay if I scream my head off when we're almost done?" And so that's what I do. I can, you know, I can get away with most things, but I think that situations where it's like a fighting game, that sort of thing, that can be kind of hard on your voice because there's a lot of grunts and screams, like
Right.
you might want to move your headphones away in case I hurt your ears, but just like, ah! That sort of thing.
Yeah, those are fun.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're lots of fun, but if you do that over and over, it kind of wears you out.
On a
Yeah.
deeper level, I was thinking about this. You ever notice, and maybe you're doing it now, maybe we are. You hear someone that you talk to all the time, and then all of a sudden they get a phone call, and they do a different voice. They're like, "That's not how you normally talk." But I've noticed like a lot of people do this. Where it's like, "Oh, you got a phone call. Maybe it's a serious call." And okay. But where it's like, "Oh, hi." Like, do you
Well, I
think right
guess.
now you're using your normal voice, or do you think it's a little bit different? You know what I mean? And have you used this? Have you used this exact voice for any characters before?
I think I know what you mean, and I would say this is my normal voice because I actually do use my normal voice for some of my parts. It's like in my current web series, Project Infinity, I play a character named Violet, and she's very easy to play because she's me, and so I don't really have to try very hard with her. But some characters require more warm up than others. It's kind of interesting the things you have to do to warm up sometimes. Like a lot of people, they'll like yell a name or yell a word in their character's voice because for some reason that always gets them in the right mindset and they can
Yeah.
find the spot in their throat.
Oh.
So
Yeah. I was wondering that.
that's what a lot of people do. And sometimes they listen to old recordings of them doing that voice and that can remind them of how they do it. I am. I have a pretty easy time of I don't have to warm up much just because I often get asked to do kind of a certain number of voices a lot. And so it's kind of if I'm having to do, we go back to the introverted cockroach. If I have to do something like that, which is not as common for me, I would have to probably put more time into warming up. But something that's more typical for me to play, I don't really have to warm up.
Okay. Yeah, I was always wondering that how because I know like Hank Azaria, for The Simpsons, he does like a million and one different voices, and I always wonder like if he can just jump in and out of those characters at any time, or he actually needs a reminder.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be either way, and I typically don't need to warm up much because once you've built a character in your mind, they're sort of a part of you, and you can tap into them whenever you want.
Right. It sounds like it's more than just a voice at that point. It's actually an entire character. You actually are becoming that, just like any other actor. You're becoming that character, right?
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes back to what you were saying about how it's one thing to do voices and it's another to be able to act as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where the acting really comes in handy, is because that's sort of what you learn in any sort of acting training is developing characters and making them lifelike. And you can go to that spot when you need to, as opposed to just trying to find a certain voice in your.
There, there's a lot of actors who are in movies that'll stay in character. I think you know where I'm going with this. Is there any voice actors that will stay in character? Like they won't you take your break. They're like, hey, that was a really good job, Keiko. And you're still doing, or someone else that's like, oh, they're the big pro. They're the Daniel Day-Lewis voice actor.
Yeah.
Is that a thing at all, or no?
Yeah, that's funny. I think that there probably are actors like that. Some of them take it very seriously becoming a role. But for me, it's kind of funny how I can turn it on and off really fast.
Yeah.
Like I've cracked myself up before when I've had to do a scene where I was just sobbing hysterically, and it's like cut, and I'm just like, okay, so what are we eating tonight? And so it's kind of funny, as someone watching a show or listening to a show, they have no clue how, you know, it's not so serious for the actor that's doing it most of the time.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. Just acting.
yeah, usually they're just laughing, when the camera's not rolling or the mic's not recording. And that's how it is for me. The only thing is sometimes when you are recording you're working on something that's sort of serious and emotional, sometimes it can kind of stick with you throughout the day. Just it can be
Yeah.
emotionally draining, or if
Mhm.
something really touched your soul in a special way, that can stick with you. Like I voiced a character. It's actually not out yet. Have you guys? I assume you've heard of Mutant Teenage Ninja Schultz. I can't speak.
Reptile skateboarding. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes,
Battletoads.
yeah, the Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm doing a comic dub with, I think it's Star Force Media, and I voiced a character named Beth O'Neill. And for some reason, I really connected with that character. And you try to connect with every character you play, but sometimes that special role will come along. And for some reason, she was just one of them. And that kind of stuck with me throughout the day. Even though the content wasn't extremely serious or anything, I just
Yeah.
really became the character. And so when I stepped out of the booth, I was just like, well, that was refreshing. I feel like I've been somewhere.
Wow.
Is
Yeah.
is that is that is that like a sister of Rachel O'Neal?
April O'Neil. Come on,
April.
guys. I'm thinking. I'm
Yeah.
thinking daughter or sister. What are we talking here? Beth
Yeah.
O'Neil.
Beth is April's mother.
Okay.
Whoa, she's still kicking it. Wow, I used to watch Ninja Turtles back in the day, and April was. I guess she hasn't aged a bit.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Oh.
That's what we got to do to get
Mhm.
immortal. We have to become the cartoon character. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And then each season, each time they revive it, it's still just us, baby. We're still here.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I think about that for stuff like The Simpsons. That's been around what 30 years now, and like the kids haven't grown, obviously for reasons. But you think like if you added up like all the time and the days that they've lived in their life, like as part of like the canon of the show, that all the stuff they've done, it's like basically all happened in the same year or like some frozen time.
Hmm.
And like when you first start a show, I imagine that you can get away with that for like a little bit because yeah, you realize that they're not growing. But then like Bart Simpson's the same age and he's done 30 years worth of stuff, and it's like, come on, what are you
How
doing?
did how do they pack that into such a short amount of time? And like
Yeah.
Ash from Pokemon hasn't aged a day.
Oh my God, Ash, come on, what are you
Hmm.
doing?
I would seriously love to see the character grow some. I think a lot of people would. I think they're scared of changing, what they've got working. But I think it would be really cool to see, teenage Ash and Misty and such.
Yeah, it's that animation style, I guess, too. That people they get used to, characters and stuff, the way that they're drawn and
Yeah.
all of that stuff. I think I'm trying to think of a cartoon that actually did that. There's a comic strip that did that. I forget what it was. It's a comic strip about like a mom and a dad, and I forget the name off it offhand. But I remember when I was a kid, like, what is it?
Dora the Explorer?
No, similar. But like, so they had like a baby, and then as the comics went on, like the baby was growing up, and then they have like another kid, and the parents are getting older, and then the kids are growing, and it keeps the actual time that the comic strip in the newspaper was in there. It was really interesting. I'll have to try and find that. I don't know other cartoons that do that.
I know it does seem to be something that's rarely done.
Yeah,
I li-
and you,
yeah, in my own work, I tend to like to tell time as it actually is instead of keeping them a certain age.
right.
Yeah, aside from my voice work, what I'm speaking of is at my YouTube channel. I'm huge in creating stories. It's another huge passion of mine, and it's what led me to voice work in the first place.
Oh, it started on the YouTube channel?
Yeah, MLA Entertainment's my YouTube channel, and I started it 10 years ago. And I started releasing web series there, and it was just for fun. It was just a little hobby. But as the years went on and I started getting better at it, uh, I realized I wanted to make it a bigger part of my life. And so I spend most of my time working on my YouTube and doing voice work.
So, is there a dream job that you're hoping to get a target on, or is there something that would be considered your dream job, or are you just coasting project to project, or like what's your plan?
I would say I'm living the dream right now.
Nice.
I just
Mm.
I love what I do. I get up every day and I'm so excited to get back to work, because
Yeah.
through my YouTube channel, I get to dream up any story I want and make it come to life, especially because of the unique medium I use. And with voice work, I get to become any character I want. And it's very therapeutic for me. I survive because of the arts. I love them so much. And so I'm living the dream, I gotta say.
So
That's awesome.
ET the animated series is not going to be the the dream job. Like they want to keep doing it. It's animated. It's a 7-year deal. Gets extended further than that though. It gets good. It's a
Yeah,
deep. It's a deep good one.
yeah. And I've actually I have an animated series that will be coming to YouTube very soon.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
worked
And
on
that's
it. Yeah, go ahead.
oh, I say that's and it's completely different than Project Infinity.
Yes, because Project Infinity, even though I guess it could be classified as a form of animation because it's similar to stop motion in the way that I use puppets, essentially, dolls. And so you could classify that as animation, but it's filmed like a live action show would be filmed. And
Right.
so
And
it isn't stop motion. They're moving in real time, but and that's what my work usually is through MLA Entertainment. But yes, an animated series that will be coming out soon. It's the real deal. It's what you would think of like on Cartoon Network, that sort of thing.
Nice. Do
Mm.
you have a title?
Yes, it's The Miserable Life of Melva. It's a comedy.
Ah, it sounds fun. It sounds kind of darker.
Yeah, well, it's funny because the main character is like this gothic girl,
Yeah.
and it's just kind of funny seeing life through her perspective because it's a really cheerful world, but she's very, uh, she doesn't put on any. She tells it how it is, and it's pretty funny. And so it's for all ages, and so it's safe for everyone to watch, but the humor's pretty bizarre. It's one of those shows that, you got to be sort of smart to get a lot of the jokes because it's pretty intelligent, but it's safe for everyone and it's just good fun.
That's awesome. Are you the creator of the show as well, or?
I am, yes, and I actually animated it myself.
Ah, well, there you go. The whole package you did. Wow,
that's
Hmm.
awesome.
that's
Yeah.
impressive.
That's commitment. That's a lot of work.
When's the first episode come out?
We don't have a set date yet. It was actually going to come out last year. And because of Project Infinity, I just kind of had to delay it because I was swamped with work. But it
Yeah.
will definitely be coming out this year, hopefully within the next month or so.
Oh, okay. So that's really
Mhm.
soon.
Yeah, but
Nice.
you can definitely keep updated through my channel. I'll
Yeah. Are
release
you
the
doing
trailer.
Are you doing like a premiere type of thing, like a countdown, like sort of thing?
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking about it. I know I'm going to release a trailer that will announce the exact time it's coming.
Okay.
Yeah, you can be on the lookout for that.
That
I think
sounds
I'm
fun.
gonna have to break. I was gonna break the quarantine rules and go over to Jeff's house and make sure we watch it together. I think it's only appropriate, Jeff,
Yeah, you can throw popcorn in my mouth
from 6 feet.
from 6 feet. Yeah. It's something like that can be kind of scary, right? Something you're working really, really hard on, and then it's kind of like time to put your baby out into the world and see how it does.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I definitely get the butterflies every single time. It doesn't matter how long I mean, I've been doing this for 10 years, but every single time I'm about to release an episode or any sort of video, I'm a nervous wreck, but in the best way possible.
Right. Well, it seems like you're getting a pretty good following and a pretty good response for everything you've put out so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really touching because some of the people that watch my shows have been there since the beginning. And they just every single time a video is released, that you can count on it that they're going to be there. And like Film Critic 997 and Pink Popcorn are names I see come through my feed a lot. And they just love it. And it's really special to know that you're making a difference with someone's life, whether it's, you know, 5 people or 500 people. It's just cool to touch any lives.
Yeah, that's awesome. It seems like they've also been able to, over the last 10 years, watch everything you've done grow. Because I usually when we have a guest on, what I'll do is I'll try and find the oldest thing they've done because it's
Oh
easy to
God.
find new things. And
Yeah.
so I went back and I watched your very, very first video,
Oh gosh, please burn it.
and I could tell you that your production quality has definitely gone up compared to your older stuff. So
I would say
congratulations on
so.
getting better.
Thank you very much.
JB approval. JB approval.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just a kid when I first started, and it was so not serious at all. And now it's definitely something that I don't consider just a hobby. It's just very much a big part of my life. So I'm happy to hear that you enjoy seeing the improvement.
Yeah, it's sweet that you start somewhere, and that's the thing I guess is a good message for all the listeners too. Is like when you start off, it might not be where you want it to go, and you're gonna learn along the way, and you'll figure it out, and that's part of the process. I think we kind of have to go through.
Yeah, that's a big part of the experience. And, I'm still, every single day, I'm learning more and more about my craft. And you always reach a point where you think you've topped yourself out and you think you're as good as you're going to get. And then you'll look up and 5 years have passed and you're so much further than you were then? And that's really a neat journey to witness.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's part of the fun of being an
Mhm.
artist and always improving is watching yourself grow, and
Yeah.
especially with YouTube everything's recorded and you kind of you have a almost a physical copy of your past that you can go back and look at as opposed to like Michelangelo and Leonardo, the artist, not the Ninja Turtles. They didn't have video of themselves painting when they were kids or anything to see how they were back then or.
Yeah, it's like a whole catalog of your work, just immediately accessible.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty awesome. So as long as aliens don't nuke every electronic device on Earth, then we'll have
Hey,
this record permanently.
Got to keep your stuff backed up for sure. But yeah, and it's really cool because I work with full voice cast now, and before it was just myself and sometimes a couple friends, but now I work with actors. I mean, some of them are in New York, some of them are in Australia and Japan. I mean, they're just all over, but we end up in the same room because of the internet, and it's really cool to have them breathe extra life into my characters like I couldn't do before.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hmm.
that's called because of Al Gore, right? I mean, he's the inventor of the internet. Thank you, Al Gore.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
and
sweet
Gus, I'm
Al.
sorry I mentioned that aliens would be hostile. I didn't want to offend you. I know that
You, you know,
you're.
I have a lot of relatives that are intergalactic aliens, and it does offend me. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
I'm a
didn't I
little
didn't I didn't mean to infer that all aliens are going to fry our devices.
right. Certain ones might, the reptilians might, but not the Moonanites. Okay, the Moonanites are good people. I mean, good aliens. Whatever. We're still people.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was thinking because one of our previous guests, Matt Seeley, I don't know if anyone's listened to that episode, but he's a ice or snow sculptor and then also does like bubble work and stuff. But he once told me that nothing is forever, and I didn't really think about it too much. But then he said that the statue of David by Michelangelo will eventually crumble, and
Oh no.
I thought about that, and it's
I'll
it's
be there.
100% true. Maybe not in 100 years, maybe not even in 1,000 years, but eventually the Statue of David will be nothing but rubble. And it might not be anyone's fault. There's just nothing you could do about, minerals breaking down over time. And so it's
Wow.
interesting to think about, stuff that we're doing today might not ever, it'll never, for sure, 100% sure, never be here all the way, in the future forever. So it's interesting to just, enjoy life while it's here, and create as many things as possible that you enjoy in your life, and just take advantage of every moment you have. I think that's important to always keep that in a frame of reference.
Yeah, absolutely. I think doing what makes you happy is very important. And, my mom's always saying life's what you make it, and your life is as big as you make it too.
Mhm.
And whatever you're doing, uh, your attitude should just always be that this is the biggest time of your life, and I think that's really living uh, big. That's the way to handle it. Just love what you're doing and put your all into whatever you're doing. And that's how you can be happy in any circumstance.
Exactly. It sounds like it's paid off
Um,
for you, Keiko.
Yeah, absolutely. I just love what I do, and I can't wait to see where it keeps going. And so, and we're on episode 10 is what we're working on Project Infinity right now. And so, we've really got the ball rolling. So I can't wait for the fans to see more of it.
real quick, sorry to interrupt. Stephen Hawking was texting me that there is infinite universes, and from the simulation that this one could be the one where nothing will crumble like the David. Just so you know. So that's an agree to disagree from Stephen Hawking over there. I had to put that out there. And
Well,
Stephen, thank you. I agree with you.
well, in this universe, we know about, the mineral compounds and how they break down. So, maybe in other universes, but not in this one because we know science.
Parallel universe jump in. It's a thing.
It's all a simulation anyway. Who cares, right? Uh,
So with that said, you already did it all, Keiko. You did it. You got your show that you wanted, the new one with the Gothic girl. It's a huge hit. Go for the stars. Go for the best and beyond, because it's up to you to make it happen. How's that?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Yeah, I definitely would recommend the listeners checking out that Project Infinity series I'm working on. I think that it's got something for everyone. It's a pretty complex story, but still anyone can follow along.
Well, I was gonna say, here's a question you probably hate getting. What's the elevator pitch? Like a
Uh,
one-liner,
well, it's a pretty big story, so as concise as I can put it, it takes place in the future. And basically, the Earth has become one country, and it was called the Kingdom of Earth. But then the bad guys took over, and they named it the Union.
One
Yeah,
world government kind of stuff.
yeah, exactly. And so the story picks up following a boy named Gun Lambton, and he joins a group of rebels because his whole mission is to get revenge on the Union for causing the death of his mother.
Hmm. Were
And
you hired by the reptilians to contact us? Is that what this is about?
oh no, no, I promise, I have no relation to them.
Okay.
Hmm.
That
I
Yeah,
does
mean,
sound like one world government stuff.
yeah, it makes for a good story, and that's the gist of it. But it's about
Oh,
characters, and it's about very serious and relevant issues that we deal with today, in some form.
sure. Yeah. I think it sounds interesting. And this one you said is animated or is kind of live action?
It's live action. It's like I was comparing my medium to stop motion because
Okay,
I
right.
use because I essentially use little dolls, little plastic people, to tell the story, it
Yeah.
but it isn't stop motion because it's filmed in real time, and so it's like a
So
live action show just with inanimate objects.
is it kind of like playing, like almost like you're playing with toys in a sense, but a higher production?
When I first started, it definitely seemed like, just a kid playing, but now I've got it down to such a science that it's just kind of
Yeah.
like they came to life themselves. You never see any hands, and you kind of
Oh, wow.
forget that you're watching inanimate objects just
Yeah.
a few minutes into it because you're just pulled in by the story. And
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, I love that you're doing something so related to that in a sense. It's like playing, but it's such a deep story. It's such a. That sounds interesting. I'll have to check it out for sure.
yeah, well, thank you. Absolutely. That's uh that's definitely what I always hope people who are new to it uh take into account is that at the end of the day, storytelling is what I'm all about, and I love taking people into and putting them into a different world while they're watching my videos. And so, some people have their feelings about the medium, but once they are pulled in by the story, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It could be stick figures, but they love the story so much that they don't care. And so that's what I always hope people remember.
Because a storyteller will tell a story no matter what they got. You could get rid of the internet and we'll still keep going. Because that's just. Come on, guys.
I forgot my part, but yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's okay.
yeah, stories are as old as time. That's what we told around the campfire.
Mhm.
That's true. When we were cave people, that was fun.
Yeah, a lot of people think that Pixar movies are good because there's really nice animation, but I disagree. Pixar movies have the best storytelling out of any animated stuff out there. Even if Pixar did it with stick figures, like you said, the stories is what brings you in.
Yeah, that is true. You can make it look as good as you want, but if the substance isn't there, it's not going to be entertaining.
Oh yeah, I've seen some really pretty crappy movies.
I know
They
what you mean.
they look good, like Final Fantasy Spirits Within. Oh my God, I wanted to love that movie so bad. And that came out in, geez, 2001 maybe, 2000. But the animation for its time was amazing. I went in there wanting to love it. The story was terrible, and I was so disappointed. I was disappointed.
That's something I really strive to do. I try to pack in as much as I can in every single second. I try to never waste a moment of screen time with my stories.
Do you
And
have a favorite movie or show like of all time? What do you got for your favorite? If you have one, or is there a whole list?
oh gosh, there is a endless list of movies probably. I really love the work by Studio Ghibli. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Oh
Oh
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah. I think they're probably most similar to my storytelling style, I suppose. I
Hmm.
take a lot of inspiration from them, and I just love the vastness of their worlds and the heart in them.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
I
for
guess you've
sure.
seen the documentary on him. Have you ever checked that out?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm a big nerd when it comes to the studio and Miyazaki for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that was an awesome, really cool documentary, and kind of shows what one person could really do too. Because it's like he's like Disney in that sense, except he actually makes the stuff where Walt just was like, do it, make it.
He just made demands and got frozen. That's all he did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think you can always tell when a product comes from one person's mind. And so like Miyazaki does have his hand in every aspect of his movies. And I think he probably really likes the control that comes with that because you really can fully see your idea come to fruition if you sort of do everything yourself.
right.
Oh, that sounds like it might be a little insight to yourself, Keiko. Do you feel like you like doing things yourself because of the control you get? These are the hard-hitting questions.
I do. I'm a very flexible person, and so it's not a really something in my daily life that's an issue. But when it comes to my art, I really do. I know exactly what I want, and so I've
Hmm.
kind of trained myself to become a jack of all trades over the years. And so if I needed to figure out how to do something, I figured it out myself, just little by little. And so when it comes to the script writing, the directing, the casting, the costumes, the set building, I do all of it. And it would definitely be a lot easier if I had help, but I think it would also be a lot more frustrating if I did because it couldn't be exactly right, you know?
Right, you'd have to fight the urge to micromanage.
Yeah, I think I would just tell them, thank you very much, but just step aside and let me redo it all real quick.
Yeah, I think some directors have been known to be like that.
Yeah. And so, but
And
I think it helps. It also helps with the process. I think I'm very efficient when it comes to my work because I do know exactly what I'm looking for. And so when I'm directing my actors, for instance, it's real easy breezy because I have it in my head. You know, the episode's already made in my mind. And so it's easy for me to tell them what they
Do
need
you
to.
do you pre-write, or is it all just in your head?
Yes, it is all. It's all written. I
Okay.
send. I have the entire series, like Project Infinity, for example.
Yeah.
Uh, the whole season is written already.
Okay. I just thought it'd been like interesting and weird and impressive if it's just in your head, like that's it. There's no documentation.
You know, I know the story so well. I probably could do it from memory, and when I first started, I kind of wrote the scripts as I went. But definitely now I prefer to plan really well because I've seen it really comes in handy to be prepared. And it makes the story better too when it's very solid and completely thought out from the get-go.
yeah, you wanna have that end in mind because I remember when they wrote The Sixth Sense, the whole everybody's dead thing that they just threw that they tacked that on at the end. I heard.
Is that right?
Yeah, they just wrote the whole movie and then they said, what if everybody was dead? And then they just tacked it on.
Don't believe you.
So
Don't
they
believe
didn't
you
have
at all.
they didn't have that ending planned out. Um, well, on that note, I see dead people. I I mean,
Twister. Plot twist.
plot twist. I was a ghost the whole time.
Yes.
We're coming around to the end here, Keiko. And it was awesome having you on. And I guess
Thank you.
for people that want to check out all of the stuff you've been doing and all the new stuff that you're going to be doing, where can people find out about that?
You can stay up to date with all of my original web series and music videos and other kinds of things on my YouTube channel. It's MLA Entertainment, and that's where you'll find Project Infinity and a great assortment of entertainment that I think there's something there for everyone. So I definitely check it out. You can also find a playlist of my voiceover work. There's a playlist on my YouTube channel. So you can check out some of the things I do there. Hear some of the funny voices I get to lend to projects. And
Sweet.
and you can also on my YouTube channel, up on the banner, there's a little corner where they've got your social media links, that sort of thing. There's a link to my dubbing company, Cube Dubs, and I dub various anime, and you can find them there through that link. So,
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll
Awesome.
definitely have all the
YouTube.
links. I'll have all the links with the podcast here, so people will be able to click and click until their heart's content.
oh, well, thank you. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we thank you for being on our show, and YouTube is owned by Google, and we're very happy it all worked out. We hope we didn't disappoint you.
You need to be a songwriter.
That's just our ending theme song. We do every episode except for the ones that you listen to.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's what we do. Well, I guess that's it, kids.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I love talking to you guys. I love your show. So keep up the great work. You provide a lot of good entertainment for your viewers, your listeners.
We
Awesome.
appreciate
Great.
you saying that.
Thanks so much, Keiko. It was great having you on.
Sure thing. Thank you.